the rhymes on this record, I mean, you see yourself said kind of at the start, you know, that there's a lot of rhymes on this record, and I think I'm just going to say that I think it's your best effort rapping wise on any of your records in terms of just ideas, creativity, playing within the structure of the songs, you know, the dropouts, the things, you know, the sound effects, just everything that makes you Eminem as an MC, as an artist, you know. How was that kind of composing these rhymes and in a sober frame of mind as well, you know, being this adventurous lyrically for the first time since you've been sober, not reflecting recovery or relapse?
I mean, that was fun because I felt like I knew going into this record, I didn't know what I was going to call it or anything like that at the very beginning stages, but I knew that I didn't want to make Recovery Part 2. Just like I really don't want, I didn't want this album to sound like the last album. Just like Recovery, I wouldn't want it to, you know, when I made Relapse, I wouldn't want my next album to sound like that. I think that it's okay now to go back and revisit another, you know, I guess the framework of another album.
Sure.
So that being said, it was more about, for me, I think that doing the Bad Meets Evil EP with Royce was one of those things where we kind of went in, we didn't really plan to do it. It just kind of happened. I think I was going to do a song with him for one of his records, and then he was going to do one with me. And then it kind of ended up, well, we got 2 records. What if we do another one and see where it could go?
Yeah.
You know, and then it just kind of spawned into that. But I think we knew from the beginning we're not going to make a whole album. But it would be fun to make an EP, and it would be fun to just take the reins off and just, you know, just rap, go back and forth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so that became fun. And I think that a lot of this record spawned from some of that too, because it was like I kind of, a lot of these songs, stop counting bars and just let me finish this thought.
It's done.
And and it's done when it's done, and not, you know, not worry about, you know, making the EP with Royce was like, we weren't making an album, so we didn't have to round it out. We didn't have to, you know, make sure that we covered a bunch of subjects and didn't make every song the same, or, you know what I'm saying, like topic-wise or whatever. And I kind of took some of that with me to this record. And, you know, it is an album, so you still do want to round it out. You want to make sure that it's not just that, but at the same time, as much as I can, without trying to cram it down people's throats, or maybe to cram it down people's throats. I just wanted to rap, you know?
I want to talk about a couple of songs on the record in particular that I love.
Did I tell you I like rap?
Yeah, me too, man. I love rap.
Yeah,
cool. I like rap. I want to talk about Love Game with Kendrick, because you guys are really spurring each other on. He's the only guest on the record. You know, you've never been particularly...
He's the only rapper guest.
Yes, that's right, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah, the only rapper on that record. I mean, he's phenomenal, you know. We all in agreement with that. We all know how amazing he
Absolutely.
is. You know, working with him on that song and just bouncing off him. Did you guys do your rhymes separately in different parts of the country, or did you do it at the same time, or how did that record come together?
It was... The way that it was put together was kind of last minute, because I had did so many records for this album and was recording so fast. It was almost like I would record a record, maybe 2 a week, and then kind of put them aside and then record 2 more and just kept going and kept going. And by the time it was all said and done and I was picking the songs out, you know, I'd go through them with Paul and we'd sit there and, you know, bounce ideas back and forth. What do you think about this song? I like this song, but this is what I don't like about this song. So we would kind of do that. By the time it got to the later stages of it, I had a lot of songs that I was trying to fit on the record, you know, and trying to make it cohesive and trying to make it all one thought with the, you know, with that whole framework of what I'm working within those parameters or whatever. But I had so many that I wanted to keep.
Yeah.
A lot didn't make it. But there were certain ones that I wanted to keep because I felt like, well, this ties in with this. And, you know, when I was writing it, like I was trying to make it tie in with this certain record, and but you can only fit so much time on a CD. Well, when it was all said and done and it got to a certain point, you know, I kind of sat back and was like, fuck, man. I got no rappers on this shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other rappers on here with me, and it only made sense, you know, me and Paul had talked about we wanted maybe we should try to do an event record and get somebody like Kendrick, just because, you know, Kendrick is as incredible as he is. He's also on the same label. He's in our camp. You know what I mean? So it only made sense and it felt right. So he came to the studio in Detroit.
That's cool. So many people phoned him in now, send them via email. You know what I mean? Here's a beat. Send me 16 bars. Send me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I laid a verse and I kind of was showing him where it was going. And
Was anyone filming this, by the way, when this was going on? I mean, is anyone? No?
Nah.
Man, wow.
Nah, Kendrick me and him had a conversation about the element of surprise.
Right.
You know, and we had talked about, like, he shouldn't even tell anybody that you know what I'm saying? Like, I won't say nothing, he won't say anything, and he gets it, you know, he really does, man.
So you've done a verse, and you kind of talking through with them, so just get back into that moment, because I want to hear how that came.
Well, I laid a verse, played it for him when he came to Detroit, and I said, this is kind of the direction it's going, and I had other things to play him, but what I explained to him was, I have other things that I can play you, but they're kind of, where I was at with the album was, there was a lot of rap on it. So I felt like if I have another song with Kendrick that's just bars of, like, there's no subject, there's no topic, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it'd be cool to have a topic. So he came to Detroit, he listened to the verse. Then I said I had an idea for a hook, but I was thinking it might be interesting. Like, I'm doing a lot of hooks on my record. You know, it might be interesting to have you do a hook, because he's great at melody too. So he laid the hook, and then he laid like 2 different hooks, I think. And after that, I don't know if I'm not sure if, to this day, I'm not sure if he understood that I always wanted him to rap on it. Because he laid 2 hooks, and then he kind of looked like, is that it? You know?
Yeah, that's it.
The only rapper on the album won't rap. So, or the only other rapper, sorry. So I was like, I can't remember exactly what I said. I was like, something like, yo, Sid, you want to lay a verse? And he was like, oh. Like, I think he looked surprised. I think that he was just not sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was getting late. I ended up going home. He laid something. I don't think I could even come back the next day. That's when it actually started getting busy too with everything else. You know, with
Survival, Call of Duty, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, those things started happening. So I think it took me a couple days to be able to get back to the studio to listen to what he did, and then we had to go somewhere for a couple of days. I don't remember where we ended up going, but it took me a minute to be able to get back to him. I told him he killed it, and then
you laid down your other verse after that one as well. So it was a classic kind of like bouncing off each other.
So to try to because I felt like he's doing the hooks too, you know. So one verse ain't gonna make sense. Maybe I could try to tie it all together and cap it off to try to make it, you know, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have been a complete thought.
Yeah.
If the record would have ended there.
Yeah.
But
it's a wicked record. I mean, it's kind of it's a dream combination, isn't it? You know, Rick Rubin, you and Kendrick Lamar on the same record. It's like that's never happened before.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the other thing too. Was I felt like what was interesting about that beat to me, and one of the reasons that I wanted to hear Kendrick on it is because I don't think that the style that the beat was in and where the sample's from and all that. To me, the feel of that record is so different from what maybe a lot of people would expect us to do. So that was one of the things that attracted me to that record when Rick sent the beat to me.
Can we talk about Headlights? I mean, I know obviously the subject has always been sensitive for you, and you've always said what you need to say on a record, and I've always tried to respect that. But the reason I want to bring that song up is because I love it. I think it's one of the most kind of emotional and brilliant things I think you've ever recorded on record. And I just want to talk more about the mood of how that record came together, and I suppose how difficult it was for you to get that out of your system, and how long you've been preparing to do so.
Well, it was one of those things that I don't know if I was mentally preparing for any of that before the idea was given to me to even me and Nate have a mutual friend, Emil, who produced the track.
Yeah.
And he had brought up, you know, he did a lot of work on the Fun record, Emil did. and he had brought it up to me like, what do you think about working with Nate? And Nate is dope. Like the way he writes and the way his cadences and his voice and the way he like
he's a great writer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was open to the idea. Emil sent me a couple of sketches, like early on sketches of it, and I had a couple of things that we bounced some ideas of like what to like certain little changes to make here and there, and then pretty much went from there. Once that ended up getting to the place where it was at, then you know, I wrote the rhyme to it, and that's pretty much it.
You proud of that one? Of that song?
I mean, I'm proud of every record on here, you know.
The reason I know that's an obvious thing to ask, but it's, you know, I mean, it is. I mean, it's an amazing listen, man. I mean, you got to remember that your fans have been on this journey with you through your honesty. You know, your fans have experienced what you've experienced, and your relationships with people in your family or friends or whatever through your records.
Yeah.
So to come full circle on that song is kind of important to them as well, or to us, to hear that in a weird way. It sounds strange, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those chapters. It was one of those things that was, you know, bothered me for a little bit. It was one of those things I needed to get off my chest. So, you know, I don't have anything else to really elaborate or expand on that record other than everything that I needed to say. I put on that record and I kind of left it there.